You guys are young guys. This is amazing.
How it's changed.
Look at
Just
this.
getting smaller and smaller.
This is crazy.
It's a portable 4-track, and everything's isolated.
Well, I picture like that on that Simpsons where Krusty barges in and goes to do all his lines like really fast, and then he runs out, and they're like, "All right, we got the tape ready now," and then he's already gone. Like they didn't record yet. Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Anyway, forgive me.
No, it's
this kind of
fine.
shit makes me crazy.
Well, we had it one time. The microphone died, and I just pulled out my phone and hit record, and it was just as good as like having the recorder. Like it was insane.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was for Nickelodeon.
Show, I work with David Copperfield on his show in Vegas, and he's got this little talking alien, and I've been working with him for 6 years on the show.
Right.
Every time, with the exception of the very first recording session that I went to Vegas to do, I record lines in my home with a USB mic on my freaking iPad.
Yep.
No baffling, no nothing, and I always said, Dave, is David freaking Copperfield?
Yeah.
He's like, that's fine to me.
I got DJs who send it to me when they go on vacation. The same thing through the iPad. I'm just like,
Yeah.
pretty good. This works.
Let's whittle it down even more,
All right.
because somebody not too long ago showed me this app that they can patch in almost like an ISDN connection to a radio station through
nice.
their phone or record stuff. I said, when did this come out? And they go, oh, people have been using this forever. It's just now publicly available. He said some of the cast of The Simpsons, like Harry Shearer, just does it into this app on his phone and sends it out to LA. And so when you hear Mr. Burns and Ned and all that stuff,
He's in.
he was in New Orleans or something like that, and he just recorded into this app on his phone and sent it over. You don't even need to be in the same room anymore. Which, look, we can argue that it takes away from the feel.
I prefer to be with the other
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah.
But this, like this, you guys are doing you're a world-class broadcast. Technically, the guest notwithstanding, you're not dragging in a shit pile of equipment. That's crazy to me.
Not anymore.
These four are the biggest things you got to deal with.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, there's a balance, because it's not just bringing in the big equipment to set up everything, but it's also not like some of these bloggers and stuff where they bring in the little Radio Shack plug-in mic and it sounds like an AM transistor
that's
radio.
different.
Yeah.
You're right. There is a fine balance. It's professional. The thing that gets me is that you have professional quality broadcast stuff that people are going to be listening to this in their cars, their iPad, iPhones, whatever, and they're going to say, oh, that was great. That was fine. It's totally understandable. No static, no nothing.
Yeah, it's professional quality,
I'm
just
not
not
looking at a
professional.
mixing board. Yeah.
Right, and it's not, they're not cheap, but it's not going to cost you $100 large in equipment.
Oh, no.
And another 4 people to haul it. Anyway, forgive
It's
me.
professional quality, just not professional content.
Again, the guest notwithstanding. I
Oh, and
understand.
the
step
host
at a time.
notwithstanding, too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. No problem.
We're here with Rob Paulsen again, New York Comic Con. We just can't get rid of Rob Paulsen.
Like I said, I'm like a herpes sore. Sorry, kids.
It's the best herpes sore.
Thank you.
How you been, sir? There's so much going on outside of your work that we need to discuss.
Yes.
If you're with it. I just saw your incredible video of you singing the national anthem.
Thank you. You saw that.
I did. How terrifying is that?
It was actually a blast. My partner, Randy Rogel, who wrote most of the music that you guys would know from Animaniacs, and I, a couple of years ago, got a really wonderful licensing deal with Warner Brothers by which we were able to take the music of Animaniacs around the country.
Yeah, you did the tour.
Right. In fact, this weekend, I'm here today with Nickelodeon, and then tomorrow, Randy and I are doing our show up at the Palace Theater in Danbury, Connecticut.
Right.
And then Sunday afternoon, we have a matinee at the Joe's Pub down at the Public Theater here in Manhattan.
And you've been
awesome.
doing Joe's regularly now.
This is I think it'll be our 9th or 10th show at Joe's.
Yeah.
Great venue.
And don't let the name, if you're in the New York City area,
Oh,
don't let the
man.
name mislead you because you just think it's like a
Joe
pub.
Pap.
Yeah, but you go into the place, it's got the classic, brass rail bar, but it's also like a mini showroom.
Oh, man.
theater,
Paul
like dinner
Simon's
show
been there.
kind of thing.
Sting's
Yeah.
been there.
It's a great venue.
Yeah, Melissa
lot of
Very
Manchester.
comfortable.
It's
So much
really
history.
a couple hundred people, very nice venue, and it's at the Public Theater, so it's a very venerable venue. But it turns out that last weekend, Randy and I were at Feinstein. Michael Feinstein's got a club here, I think at the Algonquin, if I'm not mistaken, and he's got the same thing at the Nico Hotel in San Francisco. So it turns out that Randy and I were doing our show at the Nico last weekend, and one of the folks who does PR for the Giants is a fan. He said, hey man, I know you're a sports geek, meaning me, and he said, would you like to sing the national anthem at the Giants-Dodgers game? Fucking A, of course I would.
Let me just pause you there for a second. When he offered that, did you think that you had to do it in a voice?
Well, I asked because I'm a patriot, and I would never. I mean, look, I got a great sense of humor, but I have too much respect for the anthem and for what it stands for to assume that people would dig it if I sang it as Yakko. So I was going to respectfully decline if he said, would you? I said I'd be happy to, but, and he said, but first. He said, would you sing it as yourself? Because I know you're a singer. I said,
Right.
Absolutely. Now, before I sang it, I said, hello, Giants fans.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what's surrounding me here at twilight's last gleaming, whose broad spires and bright stars through the pale river sky. We're so gallantly streaming, and the riders raglan along earthly air, getting cruise through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled American wave, o'er the land of the free.
This is the fun thing about voice talent. You've heard them for so long.
Yeah.
You know almost everything they do, but you don't know what they look. Even this day and age, when
Oh,
you have your
totally.
phone, everything, you never think to look up the person who does the voice.
And why would they? Because they end up looking like me, and who the hell wants
Right.
to? That screws
So,
it up for everybody.
Rob goes out to the pitcher's mound, and there's polite applause,
Sure.
and then he does that, and the place goes, "I know who that is!" And the whole
Yeah.
stadium just goes ape
And then
shit
you got
before
him.
you.
Yeah,
before
that-
You
even
got him,
say.
and you could be a combination of Fergie and Roseanne and still have them.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of clinkers, but one of the things I didn't, you can't get used to until you do it, is that there's a giant echo.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, even though they had a real-time monitor in front of me, you get this huge bounce back. But it was a privilege, and I was thrilled to do it. I immediately watched it because Randy Rogel videoed it for me, and I thought, all right, it's passable, so I'm going to send it to the Red Wings and the Lions and the Tigers because I'm from Detroit, and I want them to call me up and say, if you can get here, we'll have you sing it at Ford Field. But thank you for saying that, Eric.
Well,
It was a
you
thrill.
also killed the two important hurdles for the song.
What's that?
Well, there's a third
Oh,
one.
I got the
Remembering
words
the
right.
lyrics, but
Yeah, that's
the other
number
two
one.
is the Rockets' red glare.
Hit the
If
notes.
people hit that off key, they start booing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, right before the big finale, our flag was still there. If you don't hit that right too,
Yeah.
they start booing you, even though you're bringing it in for a landing.
Yeah.
You can't win unless you hit those two hurdles, and you nailed it.
Well, thank you. Certainly that makes me feel better because I thought the applause was, well, you gave it a good shot and you didn't forget the lyrics, but I'll choose to believe your version and say that they thought it was a good rendition. I honestly, I really am very privileged to do it. I am only a second generation American, and I am the grandson of immigrants from Macedonia and Denmark. So I and my siblings, just like millions of other people right here in New York, are the product of people who had the guts to come do that. And moreover, a country which embraced them. So I have nothing about which to be anything but grateful. And so I'm very, very thankful that they gave me that shot. Thanks for talking about it.
Final thing on that. What's it like being in an opposing team stadium when you grew up in Detroit? You're a Detroit sports fan.
Yeah, they beat the daylights out of the Tigers. Justin Verlander went there and spolded like a spent you-know-what.
Yeah.
And then luckily he went to Houston and won he got married to Kate,
Oh, no, you said
the
it.
model.
Kate Moss?
No, was
No,
it
no,
Kate?
the
or-
one with the
We'll just say the hot one.
Yeah, her
I
uncle.
want to say Kate Hudson, but
No. Was it Kate?
not
I
a
forgot.
model.
But
I know.
anyway, and then he won the World Series. He deserves it. But yeah, the Giants beat up on the Tigers a few years ago. But I'm an LA guy, and I like the Dodgers when I'm in LA, and they're playing now. Giants are not, and they beat the Giants pretty handily. And I told Phil Lamar, who's a big Dodger fan, he was watching. He said, "Robbie, that was you singing the anthem." And I said, "Yeah, if they lose, don't blame it on me." But they won, so yeah, it was a big deal.
Does Phil want to come out and sing the song now? Is he like, I want to
yeah.
go and do it?
I totally would. Honest to God, it was so much fun. But I'm a performer. I love that. I like, and it was very, it was nerve-wracking, but I enjoy that.
Did they give you any like cool swag? Like I sung the national anthem and all I got
No,
was
they
this
didn't.
lousy
But you know what
shirt
was really
for-
cool was that every kid, and they were kids, who got me ready, who met me at the park, who told me, "Here's where you stand," every one of them knew what I did. And it was so delightful because I had all these kids and I said, "Hello, nurse," or "Narf," or "Hey, Dad," and they all smiled, or "Turtle Power," and it was just the most wonderful experience.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
It was cool.
I just thought of this too. Now, the last thing you need to do is throw out a first pitch. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
never goes well for 90% of the people.
Right. Well, Sean Astin's done that a couple of times, and I don't have a very good gun. I'm a hockey player, man. I if they gave me a puck, I could definitely get it.
Wham!
Yeah.
put the ball put the ball down on the rubber
Right.
and just do a little flick to the catcher.
I could definitely flip it to the catcher. That's not a problem.
That'll get you some
Flipping it-
booze.
Flipping it 60 feet is not a problem. Throwing it in the strike zone 60 feet, that's not,
That's hard.
If you've never been to a Major League Baseball, if you've never been to a Major League Baseball park, when you're standing at pitcher's mound, it's a long way. And I got to see, because they let me stick around for the game, we got great seats. I got to see Clayton, a first ballot, to be sure, a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he's still in his, maybe not his prime, but he's a world-class baseball player. Jesus. When you see a guy who can really bring it, and you see how far it is, that's a way different animal.
Well, if you could throw a ball 100 miles an hour, 60
far?
feet, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still going 100 miles an hour, that's
Yeah.
pretty
It is.
damn good. I went to my friend's birthday party, and he was like, "Let's throw me the football," and I was like, I'm out for a month. Yeah, just sitting on the floor, like writhing.
Oh, no. And that's why because I got to play hockey with a lot of ex-NHLers, some ex-New York Rangers, Ronnie Duguay, Mark Messier. I played hockey with these guys at fundraising events. Coulier, myself, Richard Dean Anderson, Matt
Dennis
Perry,
Leary does a lot of those too.
Dennis
Yeah.
Leary, Michael J. Fox,
Mike Myers
Alan
too,
Thicke.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Myers. And when you get a chance to play with guys who've been retired for 3 or 4 years, but they can still really...
That's like your fantasy camp kind of
Oh my
thing.
God!
Yeah.
And they all have kids and grandkids. Gordie Howe, God rest his soul, is my hero, and all his grandkids love Ninja Turtles. That's when it's cool. Lanny McDonald called me to my home years ago and said, "Hey Robbie, it's Lanny from up in Calgary," like he had to remind me who he was. Hall of Famer, My kid's having a birthday party. Would you call him as Raffaele? And I'm like, "Yeah, Lanny."
Why not?
It's cool.
We got to wrap up, but we didn't even get to. We've been
Oh,
talking
shit, I'm
sports.
so sorry. Oops.
It's okay.
Sorry.
We haven't even gotten
It's
to.
my fault. I'm
we haven't gotten
talking.
to the new Ninja Turtles project.
Yes,
that we wanna get to.
please.
So I got to ask you this. So one, why are they rebooting it or redesigning it so close to the other one? And two, what made you take on a voice director role as opposed to being a voice in the show?
They're rebooting it so soon because Viacom knows what they have. They bought this franchise, I think, around 2010.
Right.
And the first thing they did was the one I just finished doing Donatello on, which was by any judgment an unqualified success. Sold product, got great ratings, got great reviews, and was embraced by fans of the original show and their children.
Yeah.
Then, and we did 120 episodes. Then, two of the people who worked on that show, Ant Ward and Andy Suriano, were charged with this new version, and they immediately wanted to go and do something different. I give a lot of credit to Nickelodeon and Viacom for doing that, because they could have ridden that turtle or that pony for longer and squeezed more.
Well, that's what I was saying. It wasn't like it was past its prime or jumped the shark, whatever term you want. It was still gangbusters. The merchandising was still strong.
Right, but think about what you're saying. That's ballsy.
To go out on top?
Yes. That's gutsy, because people can make the argument that the original show that I worked on really maybe went a little further than it should have.
Well, real quick, for those who don't
they
know,
were trying to squeeze blood from a turnip. They didn't do that at Nick. That's a lot of guts to do that.
Rob worked on the original animated TV show back in the 90s for Ninja Turtles. Then he was brought back for the new one.
Right, and arguably that first one became essentially half-hour commercials to sell action figures.
Right.
I'm a capitalist. I get it. But Nickelodeon didn't do that. They chose to say, all right,
no,
we
there
know
was
what we
great
got.
storytelling in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we now have people who are qualified, and we're going to go to a 2D version with great animation, and now the fans can watch it with HD 4K technology.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you something, man.
So the last Nickelodeon series wasn't for...
Oh, yeah, it was all
Okay.
4K, but it was CGI. This is 2D now.
Oh,
so
okay, I
you're
see
talking
what
about
you're saying.
watching cartoons that were made in the way that were when I was a kid, but you're watching it with broadcast quality that was unmatched.
Right.
There's nothing. I'm 62 years old, and I can still do my job at a high level. But if you're talking about a fan, I'm watching stuff now that I never could have imagined watching it at this level. So kudos to Nickelodeon for giving Ant and Andy and this incredible group of actors and artists a shot at doing it when they could have stuck around and done it longer in the old version, but they didn't. That's a gutsy move.
All right, so as we go out, then part 2 of it is how come you're now voice directing instead of participating
Because
in it?
they lowered their standards for voice directing. No, honestly, because Gene Vasaleros and Ant and Andy were kind enough to throw me a bone, and make no mistake, that's what they did. I don't draw them, I don't write them. But I have been around, and you can argue that as far as actors go, there aren't too many actors in Hollywood who have a deeper connection and understand the mythology and the ethos to Ninja Turtles, and at the risk of sounding self-aggrandizing, I think that's true. And the actors now, Brandon, Omar, Josh, Ben, and Kat, all have such respect for me, if for no other reason because that they respect their elders. So I'm in a really unique circumstance. I have the credibility with an audience, a turtle audience specifically, but these actors grew up watching everything I've done. So in this realm, I have their respect. They would never be disrespectful anyway because they're nice people. But practically speaking, I have that. But I also have respect with the audience, and I think it makes sense to take a flyer on me. And so far, knock wood, it seems to be working. But man, I've really hit the lottery, and I owe Ant and Andy and Gene and Nickelodeon an incredible debt of gratitude. And you guys for sticking around and giving me another crack at this.
Of course.
Oh, anytime.
Let's end with the plug there. When give us all the information where everyone can see the new show, when, all that stuff.
Nickelodeon, is it Mondays on Nickelodeon? Saturdays, okay. Saturdays at 10 o'clock. I'm like not even.
You weren't even close.
Okay.
No, yeah. That's when I watch them.
Saturdays at 10 o'clock on Nickelodeon.
Set your DVR.
Set your DVR. New episodes premiere every Saturday, right? And Maurice LaMarche and myself are also acting in the series as recurring bad guys.
Oh, awesome.
And that's pretty cool to have Pinky and the Brain as bad guys.
I love Maurice, but I love you two together.
Thank you.
It's like an
We
old
do
comedy
too.
team, like an Abbott Costello kind of situation when you two are working together. Tell him not to be a stranger. Tell him to come to New York sometimes.
He's going to be here.
He is?
For our discuss. Can I tell him that? I guess I can now.
This is every Monday. So.
Well, I've already opened my mouth to change feet. But yes, Mo is here with us, and today you're going to be at the thing this afternoon.
I don't know. We have so many other interviews.
All right,
I don't know if we'll be able to make it.
Then you'll probably see Mo walking around.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a big deal to be anywhere with Maurice LaMarche. He's one of those guys that he is the high tide that raises all boats. He makes me way better.
If you ever could put in a good word,
I'll
just
tell him
say,
today.
It's like, look, we'll treat him right, and we just want to pick his brain, and not.
Or pink his brain.
No, I'm not gonna. I can't even continue.
How about that?
What we go out with.
The old mouse still has it.
Good night, Rob Paulsen.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Eric. Thanks,
you.
you guys. What a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Greetings, my friends. This is
Pinky,
And the Brain, and you're listening to...
it's Eric Nagel.
You did that very well, Pinky.
Thank you. Oh, and one more thing.
You blew it.
Well, guys got to make a living.
They're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain. Narf!